K-12 initiative. It's called MyOn. Essentially, it's an online digital library, a personalized digital library program where students and teachers will be able to work together to introduce to students a plethora of books that they'll be able to access on their own, as well as to integrate into the curriculum at the building level in the classroom. And then every student will have their own individualized report, if you will, and teachers will be able to look into that report to see how their students are progressing. So it opens up really an endless library for our students. STEM and Lego engineering, we have clubs at the elementary school level, we have clubs at the high school level, we don't have anything at the middle school level, so this will bridge that gap. And then also at the elementary level, an after-school support program for at-risk students, and that will help us to further close the achievement gap and to get those students who are struggling a little bit over the curve, so that when they enter into the middle school level, they have all the support that they needed at the elementary level. Technology professional development, we're going to be infiltrating into our classrooms lots more technology. We're still developing and designing what that will be at the secondary level, but in a moment I'll tell you about what that's going to look like at the elementary level. So we need to make sure that all of that technology now has the support, the professional development, so that it's fully integrated with the teachers and students. And then in line with that, we're looking at creating 21st century spaces for our students at the secondary level so that they can collaborate, they can work together using technology and using interacting to work on projects. So that will be really a facility project to look at some of our spaces more creatively. And then cheerleading, which is now a sport, we have associated costs related to starting up cheerleading as a sport, now recognized by Section 11. English language learners, or English as a new language, ELL, ENL, this is a new mandate that has come down from the Commissioner. We are required to meet the mandate to do so, and we had a whole separate public presentation about it. But in order for us to meet the mandate, we're looking at including in our budget up to 6 full-time teachers for these students. So that's included as well. That's the penultimate unfunded mandate, and we'll be able to meet that as well. Operationally, we're excited about 2 initiatives that we have. One is related to an automated substitute calling service. In a nutshell, when a teacher knows that he or she is going to be out because they're ill, they will typically call into a person. That person will then call to get a substitute in the classroom. It takes some time. We might not always get the substitutes that we want. We might not be able to get to them quick enough. This will automate the whole process. This will enable us to tap into our approved substitute teachers, and then we will be able to get to them instantaneously after the teacher who is going to be out that day calls into the sub-service. And then the second piece, which is also an automation, it is related to timekeeping and attendance for our employees, which is essentially automating a very paper-driven, laborious process. So we're excited about that. That will fully integrate into our accounting software system. Equipment, we have some things that will be front and center, like instructional technology. We're looking at a significant investment in technology in 2 ways. One is to continue to refresh all of the technology that we have. We have programs and databases that help us to track our technology in the district and what is coming up for a refresh cycle, essentially before it becomes obsolete. So we'll be able to continue that refresh cycle, which we needed to slow down on in prior budget cycles. So we'll be able to jumpstart that again, as well as pushing in new computers into our classrooms. At the elementary level, we're looking at, for each 2 classrooms, having 1 full computer cart available for the students to use. That will assist us in being able to have teachers proactively plan for integrating technology into the lessons. And right now, because we don't have as much access to technology in the classroom, it's a little bit more difficult for them to do that. So they'll be able to do that much more proactively. And Mr. O'Farrell is working with our technology office to look at what the secondary level program will look like, but suffice it to say we're going to have an infiltration of more technology at the secondary level as well. So we're very excited about that investment. Planetarium is an area in High School East that all students go throughout their career here at Hollow Hills. So we're going to be obsoleting the 60-plus-year-old projection system. It has served us well, but it is time for a new updated system, so we're going to be installing that, as well as doing a minor renovation in the area, because now the existing seating doesn't work because the projection system is so much more modern than what was there. We're looking at actually getting a grant from NYSERDA to help fund part of that project. I'm waiting to hear back on that. And then in terms of the telephone and public address system, this is an area that has come up repeatedly through our conversations about safety and security. So that's really at the heart of why we're doing this, to make sure that every building has the same reliable, consistent system to be able to communicate building-wide, to make sure messages are issued and everyone throughout the building is hearing it, and we know that we continue to patch our existing PA and telephone systems, and we're going to essentially start from scratch and invest in the bones of it and then upgrade that equipment. So we should all see the impact of that district-wide. Other, perhaps not so exciting projects, facilities, we're looking at a tractor to help maintain the vast grounds that we have, as well as a mail van which goes around and distributes and collects mail and is always at the post office helping us get what we need to communicate out. We have security, residency, and truancy lumped together. We're looking at a patrol sedan so that when we are in need of patrolling our grounds, our buildings, we can use that for security. When we need to make residency visits to confirm that a resident is truly a resident and students belong in our buildings, we will use that vehicle as well. And then truancy, the students that are supposed to be coming but for some reason aren't coming to school, those truancy visits as well will also be done in that vehicle. So right now it's all done in someone's personal vehicle. Security, we're looking at enhancements, camera upgrades, DVR upgrades, expanding the breadth and scope of our program, and then 3 new buses similar to the technology refresh cycle. This is our refresh cycle for our transportation program. Each year we're fortunate enough to have an investment in capital projects. This is in our kind of the end of our budgeting, our 9,000 codes, and this is called the transfer to capital line. So what we have are 2 projects at High School West. One project is an outdoor project, which is the High School West tennis courts. We always try to pair that with an indoor project so that we can maximize the aid, and the indoor project are partition doors in the auditorium that helps to create 2 subspaces within the auditorium for instruction. The additional project we're able to fund this year under that budget line is a chiller and cooling tower at High School East, essentially for the auditorium, which is used about 8 months of the year, and that will help to keep that space properly temperature controlled for all the events that go on district-wide at that one, really the heart of the district, the largest collective space that we have. Contingent budget, I need to let you know what that is. Essentially, if the budget goes down in May and the board decides to not go out with another budget for public vote, or if the budget goes down in May and then it goes down again in June when the board goes out with a second vote, if that one goes down, then that means you go to a contingent budget. Those are the 2 ways that you arrive at a contingent budget. Essentially, there are laws around what it means. For us, the dollar amount is almost $4.5 million, and that's simply because we cannot have a tax levy greater than what we have this year. So that 4.47 represents the increase to our tax levy. That would have to be 0. So that's how we arrive at the number, and then things like what are listed, including use of facilities by outside groups, would need to be removed from the budget because that's what the law states. So we hope to not get there, but you need to know what it is if we do. Next steps, hopefully you received the budget brochure. If you didn't, you should get it any day now. We are in the middle of presentations with the building level PTAs. We have our budget hearing tonight. That's what we're legally required to do. We are mailing tomorrow a budget notice, which is a postcard. It doesn't tell you anything more about the budget than the presentation or the brochure, but we're required to mail it, so you'll see, I believe it's a yellow or a blue postcard coming to your home. And then we have the budget vote and the Board of Education trustee election on the 19th. So I will answer any questions you have now, or if you think of them later, but the point is we hope that you come out to vote and you have your voice heard. Are there any questions I can answer now?
We had a capital project for West Hollow regarding the roof, so that was transferred over. Would that be under this?
Say one more time. We had a what?
We had a capital project here at West
Yes,
Hollow.
the atrium?
Right, so
Yes,
is that
so-
money being transferred over?
Yeah, no, so what happens, the reason why we budget for our capital projects in this transfer to capital line is because you're able to, the rules are a little different in that the state recognizes the time frame, the lead time that you have on those projects. So we're able to we pull that money out of the budget. It was in this year's budget. We've pulled it out into a capital fund, and we're working on the specifications are up with the state. We've been designing the space, and we're waiting for the state to approve the project. So that's in the docket. We're going through the process now. Yeah.
Several years ago, there were 30% of the clubs cut, and I'm wondering if in this budget is 30% of the clubs going back in?
I believe, you did ask me that the other day. I haven't had a chance to do that analysis because they were cut over a number of years and restored over a number of years. My guess is that we'd probably be at the same level that we were at before, but I will definitely get you that information. I just haven't had the time to go through the multi-years, multi-buildings, but I will. Absolutely will. We did have a restoration last year. Last year, the year before, we had gotten a grant that Mrs. Fallon told us we were putting that back into clubs at the middle and the elementary level. So I'm pretty certain that we're at the level we were at before. We may even be higher. But I will definitely get you that information. Sure. Yes?
I'm not sure. I just was wondering where it would be in the budget if it is in fact the case. Did we get a reduction in the amount of mandate pension contributions this year?
You're asking about the pension contribution?
To New York State?
Yes.
And do you foresee that would continue or go up or down?
So the question is about pension contribution and if that savings will continue or not. So one of the many areas that enabled us to come in with a 1.9% budget-to-budget increase, as well as putting back some previously reduced programs and then increasing offerings and services for next year, there are lots of reasons. One of the reasons is because of the pension system costs being reduced. So yes, we are seeing definitively for this upcoming year a reduction in that expense line. The state actuaries who set those rates have indicated that they are going to continue to stay at the levels they're at, potentially with slight reductions, but we don't know anything more than what we have as an estimate for next year. So the actuaries are saying it will continue to decline. I don't know that other than what they're saying. I don't have any rates because they're not issued yet for future years. Yeah.
Approximately, what was the dollar amount saved?
I'll get that for you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Is that change dependent on?
I'm sorry, can't hear a word you said.
Is that dependent on changes in the financial markets?
Yes, what they do, and I'm going to give you just a glaze over it, but essentially the actuaries for the pension system look at prior 5-year cycles. So they go back 5 years and see what happened in the markets 5 years ago, which is why sometimes the trending, we're seeing some rates go up or down, and we may say, a couple of years ago, we said, well, we thought the economy was turning, and in reality, because of the way they work the numbers, they were looking at 5 years prior. So it's almost on a 5-year delay. If you go to visit the retirement system websites, there are some white papers on how they develop their rates. What's important to note is that at the district level, we all essentially pay the same rate. So it's not that the state recognizes we're in a better financial position or we are creating more efficiencies and therefore we should benefit from a lower rate. The rates are set at the statewide level, so every district is paying into the retirement system the same base rate. Any other questions? So for the two retirement systems, we are looking at a total reduction in our budget of about $3.5 million. Just from, I think you would ask it, right? $3.5 million. So those rate reductions had a significant impact on getting us to this budget that we presented today.
Excellent.
Okay?
Thank you.
If you think of anything, I'm at central office, I'd be happy to answer any questions, meet with anyone to further explain anything, but thank you for your time.
The opportunity for us to get into the business portion of the meeting. There are no comments on the presentation. I think all the questions were asked live, so that's great. Minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? The next one is the meeting minutes from April 20th. We have a motion to adopt those minutes.
Motion. Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Roseanne, is there any correspondence?
Yes, the board received a letter from Western Suffolk Policy stating the board in support of the recent election of justice.
Thank you. Any board committee updates? Any pending or unfinished business? So now I'll turn it over to Mrs. Fowler.
Chairman's Wall.
Dr. Harrigan?
Thank you, Mrs. Fallon. This evening, my report contains a certificated, non-certificated additional compensation as well as an addendum. We took the tenure earlier today for 10 of our teachers, but I'd also like to point out we have a retirement from Candlewood, from Roberta Tier. We also have a resignation for Maria Tiroso on the addendum, coordinator of world language in ESL. That is a position that has already been posted internally. That posting closes on May 22nd, so we are exploring replacements already. That posting has already gone out. And also you will see a transfer under a change for 2 assistant principals. There is a transfer of Dr. Gillespie from Vanderbilt to Commandant and Mrs. Forsythe from Commandant to Vanderbilt.
Can I ask for a motion to take the report in its entirety?
Motion. Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Can I ask for a motion to approve the report?
Motion.
Second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
I also have a resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Half Hollow Hills Central School District hereby appoints Arthur Regal, Esquire, to serve as hearing officer with respect to a disciplinary charges brought against the employee named in confidential attachment A pursuant to Civil Service Law Section 75. Be it further resolved that the employee named in attachment A be suspended without pay for a period of 30 days pending hearing and determination of said charges.
We have a motion. Motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you, Mrs. Fallon. The first item I have is a budget transfer request as per Appendix A.
We have a motion.
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And the next is a bid award utilizing the food services budget, not the general operating budget, to purchase and deliver a refrigerated van for the food service program.
Okay, we have a motion.
Motion.
We have a second. Second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And the next are health service contracts with 3 other school districts. They're pretty standard contracts that we sign with other school districts.
We have a motion.
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. About this time each year, I request that the board approve a tax anticipation note resolution, which essentially prepares us to borrow short-term borrowing next year because we don't get our tax money in, which matches with our cash needs. So this is for a general resolution to allow us to borrow up to $15 million. I don't believe it will be that much, but we need to make sure we have a borrow for a similar amount that we had last year.
We have a motion. Motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
working through this vendor enables us to have negotiated prices less than what we can get on state contract, which is deemed to be the fair market value for school districts. So last year alone, this year alone, 14-15, we saved over $200,000 on state contract and pricing on utilizing EDS. So my request is to allow us to continue that relationship. It's basically a profit purchase.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any comments or questions?
Can't hear what you're asking. We can't hear you. We can't hear anything.
So the question is whether or not this is a multi-year or an annual, this is an annual contract that we get into every year. It gives us access to properly pick items that are cheaper than if we went out with a state contract or unlimited, because we have the volume that we're receiving the benefit on. Whether we choose to buy a pencil or a piece of paper or nothing, there's no minimum requirement, but we know working with the vendor has saved us significant dollars.
And the beauty is that, it's a nice creative way to take money and put it back into the educational program for the children. So, we really, really love that. So, do we have all those in favor of this point? Motion's been
So the next is to obsolete equipment. We have some iMac desktop computers which are no longer compatible with the instructional program software needs. So the request is to obsolete iMac desktop computers as per Appendix F.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. The next item is a request to raise the school lunch meal prices for next year. There are basically two reasons that are generating this request. The first is lower enrollment. Lower enrollment means less participation. But when you couple that with some of the requirements that we are mandated for in our school lunch program related to the federal Healthy Hunger for Kids Act, we are now offering students some different choices that some students are not so excited about, but we have no choice. So we've seen a reduction in our participation levels as well because of that. So we're working creatively with the state and with the federal government to see what we can get released on in terms of some of those requirements because of some of the lower interest by our students. But at this point, because that program is risking running in the red by year end, we need to be able to increase the revenue, which will be accomplished by increasing breakfasts and lunches across the board by 25 cents.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? I'll just have one comment. My son will be one of those people who will not buy lunch on Big Daddy Pizza Day. So, I understand how there is less participation in some of the ways that we're saying.
And we should also just make sure everybody's clear that this is an independent, separate budget. The budget that we are voting on in 2 weeks from now, or a week and a half.
Good point. It's a fully self-sustaining budget. The food services budget supports itself with the revenue that's generated from federal and state subsidy, as well as from those who participate by buying lunches or breakfasts.
So if you want to throw more money at it, we actually can't.
Yeah, you could. It's a separate process to say that the general fund will support it. We don't do that here. Some districts have a process that's so much in the red that their operating budgets have to support their food service program. We're trying to keep it separate and apart from our operating budgets.
All those in favor? Thank you.
The next one is similar to the one we just spoke about regarding EDS. This is a cooperative purchase agreement through Eastern Suffolk BOCES. Essentially what this does is this will open up to the district any bids that they award through Eastern Suffolk BOCES. We are members of Western Suffolk BOCES, so essentially this is a cross-contract to allow us to participate in their bids if it is in our best interest. So that's the request for item H.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. So in the Mattituck School District, got to rely on smart boards, and we wanted to partner with
potentially lower their prices to us for things that they already want out for their business.
Okay, all those in favor?
And one final item, the district was the recipient, if you will, of a state controller's audit for our energy conservation project that we recently completed. And the audit is still in draft form, but I'm pleased to report that in summary, the controller has affirmed what we knew and what we had projected, that we would have over $3 million of net savings because of the utility expense reductions related to the energy performance contract. So the request on item I is for the board to authorize the corrective action plan, and essentially all that is because it was such a new program for us. We had just completed our first year review, and the controller is requesting that we review that analysis that was done by a third party and confirm its validity, which we already had done. The auditors had done it already, but it's just a timing thing. So it's just a request to respond to the audit, and thankfully spend the time here, and we are already reviewing the analysis that was provided.
Do we have a motion? Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Realizing that we would save $3 million over the life of the contract is a pretty good event. Good job, great savings. All those in favor?
That's all, thank you.
Mrs. Italiana, thank you, Mrs. Mallon, for the approval. This evening I have a reading on this special education conversation.
We have a motion?
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mrs. Fallon. This evening, I have one item for the board's consideration. It is a list of recommendations made by the Committee for Special Education.
We have a motion?
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Next is Board of Education policies.
Okay, good evening. Tonight, the Policy Committee submits to the Board and Community 2 policies and supporting regulations for a second reading. The first is Policy 5420, Student Health Services. It's basically updated, the state updated the policy to reflect new provisions in the law regarding epinephrine auto-injectors and training of staff to administer them. The second is Policy 5405, which is student wellness. And State Board Association, School Board revised the policy on student wellness to reflect the federal regulations for Healthy, Hungry, Free Kids Act of 2010. These regulations went into effect in July of last year, and to establish new nutrition standards for all competitive foods available for sale on school campus during the school day. So we first need a motion to waive the little reading.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And next we need a motion to adopt the policies.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Any requests from the Board of Education? Board of Council, any requests? Next is new business. We have the athletic placement process resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Garingful. The New York State Education Department has revised what we once knew as selective classification, which allowed for students in the 7th or 8th grade to participate in junior varsity or varsity athletics after meeting certain criteria. They have renamed the process the athletic placement process, and in order for the district's athletic department to continue that process, that's the resolution we have before us this evening. Just as a background, it's not a very common practice, but it is between 50 and 60 student athletes per year in our 2 high schools across all of the seasons who participate under selected classification. So similar numbers would participate under this new requirement. Resolution reads, whereas Section 135.4 of the regulations of the Commissioner of Ed provides for Board of Education to permit pupils in grades no lower than 7th grade to compete on interscholastic athletic teams organized for senior high school pupils or senior high school pupils to compete on interscholastic athletic teams organized for pupils in 7th and 8th grades. And whereas these pupils are to be allowed to compete at levels that are appropriate to their physical maturity, physical fitness, and sports skills in relationship to the other pupils in accordance with the standards established by the Commissioner of Education, and whereas the State Education Department issues the competition standards for these pupils to compete under a program called the Athletic Placement Process. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Half Hollyville Central School District shall permit pupils to compete after successfully completing the athletic placement process for the requested sport and level.
Do we have a motion to adopt the policy?
Motion.
Do we have a second? Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you.
And then the next item is the appointment of election inspectors for the 2019 budget vote and trustee election.
Would you repeat that?
Here.
Did your thing. Thank you.
Okay, for the board's approval this evening, I have a listing of the election inspectors that have indicated that they are available to work at the May 19th budget vote and trustee election.
So do we have a motion to adopt the list? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?